Okay, we're going to review these two standards. Now, they're shorter standards than what you're used to. This standard is called Complete the Square. It's standard number 3 in this class. And the second standard is known as just I. It's called Complex Numbers. Okay, complete the square. Find the value for C that completes the square. So all I need to do is use the B, and then I take B over 2 to the second. That's going to be 10 over 2 to the second. Well, I know 10 divided by 2 is 5, so 5 to the second is 25. So I just get rid of the C and replace it with 25. That's all you got to do on that one. B over 2 squared. That's like your complete the square formula. Convert from standard form to vertex form. So I need 3y equals, okay? And that's my formula I'm going to use. So first what I do is make a parentheses, make sure that this is just a 1, and it is, okay? So 1x squared plus 6x. If that's not a 1, you got to divide these two and bring that number out. Okay, and then kick minus 25 out because I want a different thing. And so I use b divided by 2 to the second power. 6 over 2 to the second, 3 to the second, that's 9, okay? Plus 9. Now if I bring a plus 9 in, I need to minus 9 out here. So A, B, C. So 1 times 9 is positive 9, sum of 6. You have to factor that trinomial. It's got to be 3 times 3. So XX, 3, 3. We have plus 6, so we're going to have plus 3, and a sum would mean that they're both going to be plus. And then that's going to be negative 34 out there. So x plus 3 to the second minus 34, and that's my answer. Okay. Now your next one. Convert from standard form to vert, same thing, okay? So b over 2 squared. All these problems you use b over 2 squared, okay? So I make that, and then by the way, we need this to be a 1, so I divide these by 3, pull 3 out. That's 1x squared plus 4x, and then minus 4, we kick that out. I don't divide that by 3. Okay, so now I'm ready for my b over 2 squared. So 4 over 2 squared, that's 2 squared, and that's 4. Now again, I didn't just bring in 4, I brought in 3 times 4, which is positive 12. So if I brought in plus 12, we need to minus 12 on this side so the equation stays balanced. Okay, so 4 positive, sum of 4, and that's 2 and 2. Okay, so I've got 3, and I make 2 parentheses out of that. XX, 2, 2. So I got plus 4, so I'm going to have plus 2 and plus 2. They're both pluses. And then minus 16. Say, then it's easy. I go 3 and then x plus 2 quantity squared minus 16. Okay, now the next thing is I, okay, complex numbers. This is just FOIL, but you got to do something with the I. So you have, that's a negative 7. So you got 3 times 2. You've got 3 times negative 7i. You've got 6i times 2. And then you got 6i times negative 7i. Okay? So that's 6. That's negative 21i. That's positive 12i. That's negative 42i to the second power. Now, I to the second, I know when I'm dealing with the letter I, if I see I to the second, we need to replace that with negative 1. So negative 1 times negative 42 is 42. Now, I got 2 sets of things I can add. 6 and 42 is 48. And you can only do this with I. Negative 12 plus 21 plus 12 is negative 9i. And there's the answer. Okay? So it's a little bit different than the regular FOIL. The second power I, you got to replace with -1, and then you can add those and those. Okay, and there's 2 other problems. Each one of these only has 3 problems, the whole standard. Okay, solving equations for x. So I've got x equals. Now, am I going to use factoring or like terms? All we have is that, so it's like terms. So I box up 2x squared, I move the 44 over. We should not be using factoring. That is wrong. Negative 224 plus 44 is negative 180. Then I divide by 2, and x squared equals negative 90. Now I need to find the square root. So x equals plus negative. Now that negative, you need to make it positive, and you need to extract an I out of there. Okay, so 90, not a perfect square, so I need to make 2 parentheses. And 90 is divisible by what number up there? I think it divides by 9. So 90 divided by 9 is 10. So I get rid of the square root of 9, and that's 3. So 3, it says right up there, the square root of 9 equals 3. Okay, so we replace that with 3. 3 square root of 10, and that I that we had goes right in front of that. So 3i square root of 10 and 3i square root of 10 with a negative. Okay. Next problem. There's 2 answers. This time I got x squared, but I also got regular x. So that's a factoring problem. So we got to make sure we have the 0, which we do. And then how many terms? There's 3. So GCF and then the T chart. The T never works on this standard. That's why it's an I. GCF. You don't have the negative. You don't have x on everything. 5. 5 divided by 1 is 5, and that's it. You can't divide all of them by 5, and it's stupid just to put a 1 when there's nothing else there. So no. A, B, C. Okay. 5 times 7 is 35, positive, and sum of 5. That's a sum of 36. 2, 3, 4 are all decimals. 5 and 7, that's a sum of 12. And there's no way I can get to 1. Okay, so use the sum. Big line, so opposite of B is 5, plus or minus C square root, parentheses second, minus 3, parentheses row. Get the second there, okay? That goes over the whole thing. So B, 4, A is 5, and C is 7. Okay, so I take 2 times 5, that's 10. So I've got 5 plus or minus over 10. Now, let's punch in the square root. So second square root, negative 5 second, minus a 4, 5 and 7. You got domain error because you ended up with a negative in the square root. So unfortunately, you need to make 2 square roots and do your math. So negative 5 times itself, 4 times 5 times 7. That gives me 25. Then I take 4 times 5 times 7. That's going to give me 140. Okay, so that's negative 115. You got to make that positive and put the I out. Now, I need 2 of those. Okay, so I see what 115 divides by. 100, no. 81, no. 49, no. 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 Nope. Nope. Nope, and don't do 1. So what I do is I just put the square root of 115, and we put that I right in front. So the answer is 5 plus I square root 115 over 10. 5 minus I square root 115 over 10. Okay? You just make a plus between them, then a minus, and that's your answers.